Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Rachel. I'm from Creative Pathways Coaching. I'm a life coach and mentor. My website is creativepathwayscoaching.com. You get in the link below, just in there. It's got some handy resources there that you might be interested in, as well as you can book a one-on-one coaching with me. I'm also a travel blogger with Lone Aussie Broad Abroad. You can catch my experiences there, and it's a good way to get to know me as well there too. So there's a lot I want to cover in this video today. If you haven't already, please subscribe down below as well as like while you're down there too. It all helps to support my channel. So today I'm going to cover, you notice I'm in my car, so I'm quite busy today. But today I wanted to cover confidence. This is long-lasting confidence. In previous videos, at the start of Start Living Your Dream series, the first video there, I actually spoke about confidence, but it was more of a temporary confidence. And I've had a couple of people actually email me about how to create long-lasting confidence. Now, disclaimer here, this confidence that you develop is not going to stay constant. It's just not. When you have stresses in your life, that's going to dip down as well. The more you do of these tips, the more confidence you will over time develop. But of course, as I said before, based on stresses, based on things in your life that might be negative, it might dip down as well. So we'll start off with tip one. Tip one, skill development. As we get older, we do less of skill development. We do less skill development generally. Once we leave high school, leave college, university, whatever, go and do our job. Once we have our job, the only time we tend to do a lot of skill development is when we have to change jobs, that sort of stuff. So generally, a large proportion of the time as adults, we don't tend to do a great deal of skill development unless it's something for some reason. So for example, they've found the plasticity of the brain, that's important. Skill development is important later on in life. But as for us adults, say in our 20s, 30s, 40s and stuff, 50s, that we tend to do less and less skill development as we get older. And for obvious reasons, skill development involves time, so extra time. It involves a level of not being confident to start with, learning something that we don't know. And as we get older, we tend to do that less. What we see is it increases our confidence, but it actually does. It actually, over time, it actually decreases. So skill development, and it's one of the theories with skill development was actually, they found skill development with children, that with children, their self-esteem developed with skill development. So for example, when they learned how to ride a bike, once they rode a bike, once they were on the bike and they were riding and they weren't falling off, the confidence that came, the self-esteem that came with that child with learning how to do a skill that took a while to get. So they could see with studies that, and this is something I've worked with families for years, and it's one of the things I always taught parents was skill development. You want your children to have a high self-esteem. Really look at ways that they can develop more and more skills, and the same thing with adults. So in regards to skill development, what can you learn? Well, for a lot of people, it can be about what they've wanted to and they've not for whatever reason, whether it be taking classes in dance or what have you. I'll give you an example of me. I've worked for a couple of not-for-profit organizations, and of course what's involved is occasionally having to get website updated or doing a new website, that sort of stuff, and I've gotten IT people in to do that. But there have been times there that I've thought, I could do this myself, but it hadn't been financially viable to do that, to pay me to do that too. And it would have been slower for me to do it. So once I set up Creative Pathways Coaching, one of the first things I did was set up my website. I had the time to do it, and so I sat down and I learned how to do it, which is great. It means I can update it. It means I can do whatever to it. I have the knowledge base now to do that. That's increased my confidence. It's actually increased my confidence in other areas as well. So first tip, skill development. It makes a huge difference. So really write down some of the things you want to do that you've not got around to doing, and figure out ways and create some time in your life to do that, because it's important in regards to your long-term self-confidence in your life. It's actually important to do these things. Okay, tip two. Okay, so now I'm out of my car and I'm back at home, not in my office, but oh well. Good to shake it up a bit. Okay, so the next tip is facing your fears. Now, facing your fears is a big thing for most people, and it's a big thing for a reason. Overcoming stuff means that once you've done that, your confidence increases, and it doesn't increase temporarily, it increases long term. When you actually overcome a fear, it's a huge thing, particularly a very scary, very serious fear like a phobia, that sort of stuff. So I would suggest writing down a list, get a list set up from your lesser fears down to your bigger fears, and then ticking them off as you go along. So the reason why, I'll give you an example of why fears are so important. My mum had a fear of heights, and she was a very strong woman, and she saw this is a weakness. Now, for a lot of us, we wouldn't see it that way, but she did. And she spent quite a bit of time working on it. She actually went to a support group about it. And so she actually spent a bit of time getting support. Then one day she actually booked an instructor, and a couple of days later she abseiled off the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, if you hadn't noticed, I'm Australian, so I lived in Sydney, and so did my mother. And so she abseiled off the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and I tell you, the grin on her face for months, it was just amazing. This woman had overcome a fear that had been such a huge thing for her for most of her life. It impacted on the rest of her life in regards to her capabilities, in regards to her abilities and what she saw as her abilities to be able to do stuff. She overcome that. Like, it was amazing, and we were all so proud of her. So it's a big one to do. It's a lifelong thing and something to work on, which is why I put it in the middle, because I didn't want it, I thought the scary one should be in the middle. So yeah, facing your fears. So think about what your fears are and take those steps towards them. Okay, and next tip coming up. Tip 3, new experiences. Actually get out and create new experiences for yourself. I touched on this in the series Start Living Your Dreams in the Comfort Zone video, which I think was number 5 up there. So it's really, I touched on it, doing stuff like, taking another way to work, not going to your usual coffee shop, changing around and going to another coffee shop, that sort of stuff. I'm going to suggest you take that much further in this sort of situation. You want to increase your confidence. So what you want to do is to do stuff you'd really never done before. And I'll give you an example here. About 4 months ago, I went to South America. I went to Peru, to Ecuador, and Chile. And when I was in Peru, I was in Cusco, so near Machu Picchu, and I did Machu Picchu and all that sort of stuff. But I always wanted to go quad bike riding. Always did, and just never got the opportunity to do that. While I was there, I went quad bike riding in the Sacred Valley in Peru. Absolutely loved it, and it was just exhilarating. And I think those sorts of experiences just create for yourself even more experiences. You realize you can do things different to what you used to do. And what it does is it creates, you're not doing the same thing that you're doing every time. You're doing different things, which means your perspective slightly changes, which means you get to see yourself in a different way, which then can create more lifelong confidence. So I hope this helps. So these 3 tips are great for developing long-term self-confidence. They do need to be, you can't just do them for a month or so and then, step back. It will last for quite a while, but it's something I would suggest that you put in your yearly diary of things to do, set it up, things to do over the next year, and continue to do that every year. That develops your self-confidence from a long-term perspective, and that makes a difference for the rest of your life, for relationships, if you're a parent, how you parent, everything. Self-confidence is so important in our lives in regards to create everything. So it's something that, really, it's important that you, as part of taking care of yourself, that you do regularly. Skill development, facing your fears and doing something different. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's made a difference and it's given you lots of tips to start working towards. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below to see future content coming up. I do a video every week, so that way you'll be able to not miss anything. Now, if there's anything in the video that you liked, or you got any suggestions for future videos, please comment down below. I'd love that. Any feedback with regards to what I'm doing and any ideas for future content would be fantastic. All right, I will catch you next week. See ya.